Hi guys, welcome to Moteefe, and we're going to be talking about how to be a POD Stoic, and I'm joined by one of the best Stoics and POD sellers over here at Moteefe, Thomas Gentleman. How are you, Thomas? Thanks for joining us.
Hey Aidan, I'm good. Hello everyone. Yes, this week we're going to be talking about how Stoicism and the Stoic mindset can help you with your e-commerce with Moteefe. Moteefe, of course, is the leading end-to-end POD platform for e-commerce, where you can create an account completely free, link your custom domain, a domain that you own, have a store with your own domain name, run traffic to that domain, and then when you make a sale, we give you a percentage, a very generous percentage of that sale amount, and you cash it out. It's a vast array of products with some really great features like custom text. So do check it out, moteefe.com. It's completely free to use. So head over there right now and create an account. And we have a free Facebook ads course in the comments that'll be linked, and a Facebook group as well, where Aidan, one of our customer success managers, as well as Anna, is in there to help you with your POD goals, and also give you a few tips on Stoicism after this possibly enlightening episode.
Oh yes, and we will mention what that course entails, what goes on in the group, and how you can start making money a little bit later on. But to kick it off though, Thomas, I suppose the question begs, and the question that is what is Stoicism? Where did it all begin? What's it all about?
What's the big idea? Is that what you're saying? Well,
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so Stoicism comes out of ancient Greece. It's an ancient Greek philosophy. A lot of things philosophy-wise come out of ancient Greece. There's some big names there. We won't go through them all, but Stoicism is a framework for happiness. It's centuries old, millennia old, in fact, thousands of years old, coming out of Greece. And really the idea here, it's a complicated subject with lots of nuance and lots of things in it, but really the overarching theme is that it's a framework in which you can use to find a happier way of living, a happier way of dealing with things, and to find contentment, or a degree of contentment, in a world that is topsy-turvy, upside down. So now we have the internet. You can Google all sorts of things. You can type in moteefe.com and go and open an account and start selling POD products to anyone in the world, or you can go to Wikipedia and find out all sorts of information about germ theory, the space, atoms, all of this stuff. Back then they didn't have any idea. Well, they had the beginnings of ideas, which is why ancient Greece is still talked about now, but they didn't know about germ theory. They didn't know why things happened. It was a world where there was war, there was this, there was that, disease, famine, all of these things happening around everybody, huge child mortality rates. Yeah. And so they were living in incredibly uncertain times. We think we were living in uncertain times now. This was the most uncertain of times. So to deal with this, they came up with a concept, a way, a framework of dealing with all of the things that go on around you, that you can use to make sense of it, and also to move towards having a happier life.
I mean, who doesn't want a happier life, right? Makes sense to me.
Well, Stoics, because they're already content.
Yeah, so that all makes sense. Can you give me an example of sort of a Stoic methodology, or sort of?
So how to apply Stoicism in today's world? So really what we can, the core of it is to work out what you can and cannot control. Right. So if you can control something, then you're in control of that. If you're not in control of it, as soon as you realize that you're not in control of it, you have to accept that as a reality. It's like, okay, I'm not in control of that, therefore I'm going to accept that as fine, because there's nothing that I can do about it. So for instance, if you were quite annoyed at the sun coming up every morning, there's no point in being annoyed, because there's absolutely nothing that you can do about the sun coming up in the morning. Right. Yes, okay, you could buy a private jet or a boat and just keep on trying to outrun the sun for the rest of your life and stay in eternal darkness if you really wanted to, but somewhere the sun's going to come up again. So it's out of your control. And it's very important to determine what is and is not in your control. That is really the first step. So that's the idea.
Right. So I suppose to lead it in, how can we apply Stoicism into POD? How can we become a POD Stoic, and what would be the benefits of putting that mindset towards POD?
Well, so what is in your control? What is in your control is your actions and your thoughts. They are the things that you can control. So that is quite a lot already. So all of your actions and all of your thoughts are what you can control. I can't control, although I try to control what Aidan is thinking and doing. I can't control that. He has a degree of self-determination, not too much, but enough. So I can't control him, and I can't control anything other than what I do and what I say and what I think. So it's concentrating on that. So once you realize that it's what is in your power and what's out of your power, then you can start to be happier. How do you apply this to a print-on-demand business with Moteefe from Moteefe.com? The things that you can control are your actions. So you can be determined, set aside a certain amount of time each week to come up with new design ideas. You can commit to having 5, 10, 15, 20 designs made every week. If you're a top seller, then in the group, please do contact Aidan, because he will be able to help you with artwork. We have a service for our top sellers, which is very popular and very good. So you can control that. You can control the frequency of designs that you test. You can control the text, the design, the niche that you're in, the frequency. You can control those things. What you can't control is whether people buy or don't buy. Now, you might spend a lot of time, and I have in the past, coming up, you have an idea and you think, this is it, Lambo time. I've got the idea, it's definitely going to work, and I've spent a long time designing it. I've tweaked it, I've got the colors right. I love the design. I'd wear it, I'd order 5 myself. I love it. You start running ads to it, no one's interested, no one even shares it, there's hardly any likes. It's failing. What you can't control is whether they like it or not. You like it, but that doesn't matter. If you're a non-stoic way of looking at that would be to get angry, to try and make it work. Well, I'm going to make it work no matter what. All of the evidence says that it's not going to work, but I think it's going to work. No, the proper way to look at it is it's not working. Move on to the next design. Don't become married to the design. Don't become emotional about it. Look at it in the cold, hard light of day. I thought it would work. Fine. It didn't work. I did my part. I did everything correctly. Maybe you can learn from it. Okay, next time I could tweak this. I could try that. I can do this. I can do that. That's stuff that you can control. But you can't make somebody buy it unless they're prepared to buy it.
Yeah, and I have this question from sellers in the group, and they say that they just need to change their question to me. They say, Aidan, how can I sell this design? Not how can I make a design that sells, right? And they get so tied up in how can I sell this instead of how can I create something that will sell. And I think that definitely rings true of a lot of new POD beginners.
Absolutely. So you can control your thoughts, your actions around this. So you don't have to be upset because that one design didn't sell. You know that you're going to work on more, that other people are being very successful selling POD through Moteefe, and you are going to be one of those people, and you have to set yourself up for success. If you become disenfranchised, angry, upset, looking for an external factor to blame, again, something that you can't control, then you will not be happy. You will not be successful. You will not end up winning because you're being distracted. It will reduce your motivation. Your motivation should be completely separate to the results that you're getting, because you should know that in the end you will get there, and you just have to keep on doing the right things. Yes, learn along the way. Watch the Facebook ads course, completely free, link in the description. But that's up to you. You can watch the Facebook ads course. You can skip it. You can take the bits that you want to hear from it, which are the bits about scaling and just move on to that and skip the bits about testing, or not listen to the parts where I say, if you're getting a very high cost per link click, you should turn it off, or that you should only test one engagement ad at a time. And if you don't get lots of comments and shares, then it's not worth testing as a conversion ad. Or you can just plow through, say, oh yeah, that's fine, I'll just move straight through, that doesn't matter, I'm sure he didn't mean this design, he didn't mean me, my design's better than this, I know what I'm doing. That is how you start to make mistakes and start to become emotional and emotionally invested. You're trying to be logical, cold, detached, and only concentrating on the things that you can control, and you will be in life much happier if you do that.
So it's and it's pretty much putting yourself in a position where you're completely unbiased. You've got no bias for that design, against it, either way. Now that's just some fun facts for you guys. I've got a small list of famous Stoics, or people who are greatly influenced by Stoicism. We've got George Washington, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tim Ferriss, and Bill Clinton, all influenced by Stoicism. But a lot of, I would say, Westernism has got a lot of Stoicism built into it in some way, shape, or form. But getting back to the matter at hand, Thomas.
Well, so Stoicism, I don't know if you're going to ask me a question there, but Stoicism comes out of ancient Greek, was made very popular by the Romans. So there are some similarities between Stoicism and Christianity. In fact, the early Christians had to frame their ideology, if you will, their religion, I suppose it is, rather than ideology, around winning the Stoics over, as Stoicism was so popular in Rome at the time. Marcus Aurelius, probably the greatest Roman emperor. Not my favorite one. I'm a big Gaius Julius Caesar man, but he's certainly had an impact. And his book Meditations is something that you should read if you're more interested. So it comes out of there. There's a few on that list that I'm not quite sure how much of a Stoic William Jefferson Clinton, the former president of the United States, a good book by Christopher Hitchens about him, The Triangulations of William Jefferson Clinton, if you're interested in learning more about the former president. But certainly it has had an impact. It still has an impact. There's a whole way that you can live as a Stoic if you read Meditations. There's a lot of new books are written around Stoicism. It is in itself a niche. Philosophy is a niche. You can run designs to various different branches of philosophy with some philosophy style memes. It's actually quite a good niche to get into. We don't see many people selling into that niche, but it's definitely a good niche. And there's a lot of books written more recently, and they're okay, people's interpretation of the original ideas. But really, if you go back to source, certainly Meditations, or the Lord Russell, Bertrand Russell, wrote A Guide to Western Philosophy, very good. Bertrand Russell, not quite as popular as he used to be, and certainly not quite as popular as he should be. A conscientious objector in the First World War, lived at Pembrokeshire House in South London, near Kew Gardens. Very nice. It is there as well. So, Aidan, I cut you off with a question.
Yeah, well, I think you've answered my question when you went on your beautiful tangent there. But in knowing this and being unbiased and seeing the benefits of how it can help your POD, not worrying about things you can't control, what would you suggest or recommend our amazing viewers do next with such knowledge?
Well, again, you're in control of your own thoughts and your own emotions to an extent. That's the problem, are you? You need to be in control of your own thoughts and your own actions. Maybe the emotions can get in the way. So thoughts and actions are what you want to do and what you want to concentrate on. So if you imagine that you were playing a sport against a very talented opponent, pick any sport you like golf, pool, snooker, or billiards, or even balls free games like darts, or anything that you could play against somebody else. If you go into that game against an opponent that you know is better than you, you're not going to play your best game because you're going to be concentrating on what they're doing. Or even an opponent that's as good as you or worse than you, if they start to win, you are going to start to make mistakes because you're being distracted by what they're doing. Really, if you concentrate on your thoughts and your actions, then you would be looking at your game and trying to play as well as you possibly can, given your abilities at any given time. And then you will play better because you're only concentrating on what you're doing and not what anybody else is doing. And that's the same with business, with life, with relationships. You can't control whether somebody else is obsessed with you or whether they're going to take you to Nando's or some other eatery or ask you to do so, but you can ask them, and if they say no, then you can't control that. So becoming upset about that would be natural, but under Stoicism you should accept that as fine and then move on to the next hungry compadre for your dining pleasure.
Yeah. So put simply in terms of bringing it to the print on demand world, you test a design, you have no control if people love it or hate it, if they hate it, and then you can quickly accept that people don't want it and move on to the next, which then frees you're focusing on what you can control, which is in the end going to benefit your results, right?
Indeed, whether they purchase a tremendous amount of the design or they do not is outside of your control. What is inside of your control is how you react to that, what your actions are, how you look at the numbers. There are lots of numbers in Facebook Ads Manager or any ads platform, lots of numbers that can distract you. You can look at all sorts of stats to try and find, actually, well, you see this one, it had this and it had that, even though it's not profitable. And all of the signs, you search for some glimmer of hope because you are emotionally connected to it. Oh, well, actually, when you look at women 35 to 46 in Barcelona, then it looks like they might buy some. No, you look coldly and rationally at it. You don't control it. What you can control is turning it off, having a new design ready that you should already have, moving on to the next thing and not becoming upset about it. Whatever line of, same in your career, you can't control whether you get promoted, a raise, fired, or doing any of those things. You can't control that, but what you can control is you can turn up early to work every day. You can wear a suit and tie to work. You don't have to wear a hoodie. You can dress smartly. You can reply with proper English. If your English isn't great, then you can learn better English. You can use apps to improve your grammar. You can be a better person. You can shave every morning. You can get your hair cut. You can look for better employment. You can train yourself. You can do all of those things. They're inside of your control. So if you concentrate your efforts on those things, then in the end, you will be much happier and more successful because you won't be upset about the external factors.
Yeah. Thomas, do you know what else you can control?
The weather. No.
You can also control, if you have a design that has shown some initial success, messaging me to help you scale that design via translating into another language or redesigning it in those other languages. Anything you need, that is something you can control that will definitely help your print on demand goals get reached.
Absolutely, indeed you can.
And where to find me is in the Facebook group, which you can find a link to it in the description below.
Absolutely, you certainly can. So joining the Facebook group is something that you can control. Messaging Aidan and Anna is something that you can control. That is all within your remit, your power to control. Making the decision right now that you're going to commit to print on demand with Moteefe.com, open an account, join the group, message Aidan, say, if you've got no idea what you're doing, message Aidan. Say, I don't know what I'm doing. Aidan will guide you through. Aidan will get you good. That's what he does. He's a get good expert. There's
people on a weekly basis who say, Aidan, I'm selling, 10, 20, 30, 40, 300, 400 units per week, but I don't know what to do next. And then I always find a flaw, a chink in the armor that they should be doing to get them back on the track or to maintain or even increase their sales. Just ask me. I'm there. The door's always open. Do not be a stranger.
Even if you've never sold a unit before, message Aidan and say, I don't know what I'm doing. What should I do? What should I sell? Which niche? Everything. Aidan will guide you right through it, point you in the right direction to get more information and get you on the pathway to success. And I'm in the group as well. So if you want more hot tips about Stoicism and how to remain objective and calm through the uncertainty that life gives you, then read a book and message me if you must.
Cool. Thank you, Thomas. I think that's a bit of a different one, but I really enjoyed it. Very insightful, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I look forward to speaking to you all in the group, and seeing you next time, next Thursday. Take care, guys.
Stay stoic.
Bye-bye.
Bye.